Hello guys, welcome to MindMajix, and in this special session our trainer will explain everything you need to know about the TIBCO BW. Before beginning the session, let's look at the topics you will cover in this video. We shall start with General Activities, Notification Activities, Notify Configuration Resource, and end this session with Groups. Please check the caption to jump between the topics. If you are new to the MindMajix channel, please subscribe and press the bell icon to get quick updates about the new tech tutorials, free webinars, and career-enhancing shorts from working professionals. Like and share the video with your friends and career aspirants. Without any further delay, let's start the video.
Hi all, welcome to the session of TIBCO BW Fundamentals. Okay, so let's open our studio. So in our previous sessions, I think we have covered the file palettes, right? And then what have we covered? We have covered some of the general activities, right? So we have covered one of the most common and most useful general activities that are mapper activity, log file, sleep activity, and timer activity, right? So there are few other general activities, but since this is a fundamental, let's see the call process now. So that is also part of the general activities only. So let's see that now. So you see, always remember not to use any spaces in the middle of any names. Okay, you see this, right? A call process is not a valid name because I have given a space in the middle. So now you see there is no error now. So I finished it. So what is a call process? Generally, let us say that you have a process called A, and you want to you want to call process called B or C from process A. Okay, from A you can make a call. You can call another process like B or C. Okay, so let's try to see how we can achieve it. For that, first thing, we should have a general activity called timer, because as we know that every process should be having a process starter activity. So after that general activity, I'll use a call process. Okay, so in the call process, inside the call process, we have to call one process. What is the process I can call? So that process is called as subprocess. The process is called subprocess. Okay, this is in process A, we call it as main process. So let us say now the process whatever we have created, let's assume that this is a main process. From this main process, I want to call few subprocess called A, or B or C. Okay, for that we should have the subprocess. So in this place, the process name, we can come here and browse for the subprocesses. So are we able to see any processes here? We are not able to see it, right? Because we don't have any subprocesses. So here we have a tab asking to create a new subprocess, right? Okay, so either you can create it from here, you can give the name, or otherwise you can ignore this. Let us assume that you already have a subprocess. You see, create new. The way we create a process, just come to that location and see BusinessWorks Process is there, right? Click on that. So let us assume that subprocess, I'll name it as B. Okay, so I'll finish it. So if you see the difference, whatever the process that you create, if you create a new process, simple process, I'll keep some random name. So I create a new process. In this process, I'm not able to find any start or end activity. But the moment I created a sub process, I can see a start activity as well as the end activity. In BW5, what happens? We'll be having the start and end activity in each and every process. But when it comes to BW6, we have a separate concept of creating a business sub process separately. So we'll be having the start and end activity only in the sub processes. Okay, let us say in the sub process, whatever you want, maybe you can do some activity for the simplicity, right? Now I'm just doing some logging. Okay, I'm just logging something. So here I'll write some message, any message. So I'll write something like sub process started. Okay. Now I'm coming back to my main process, and from this main process, if I try to browse the process, you see I have the B process under general folder. I have a process called B. So earlier we don't have any sub process, right? So now we are able to see the process, right? So now if I can run it, sorry, I should have I have to select the proper process. Let me delete this. Okay, so for running it, debug configuration, what is the process name? I have not selected the process properly. See, general process was there. I want call process, right? Just observe it clearly. The moment I select a call process, this general B process was also selected. You see again, I'll select a call process, B process is also selected automatically. Because what is the reason? The reason is we have configured this B process in the process name of my call process. Now you see, you can see the sub process also started. Did we started the sub process separately? No, right? This is how we can make a call from a main process to a sub process. This is the use of call process. So in your let us say you are given a project, and you have a requirement where you need to make a you need to process, or you need to execute multiple processes based on your business requirement. You can use a call process. Inside that, you can refer the process whichever you want to execute. Okay, this is how we can make use of the call process. But we have few more things to understand about the call process activity. Okay, in the call process we have something called spawn. Okay, so as of now you have seen that okay, let me remove this spawn and run it again. I want to show you the job number whichever is getting executed. Okay, now if you see, call process was executed. What is this is called job ID. Okay, BW0A100 is the job ID. If you see this job ID also same, right? BW0A100. So both are having the same job ID. So you can say that when you are having a sub process configured in the call process, the main process activity, the call process activity. So both this main process and sub process, that together we call it as a single job. Okay, so because of that reason only we are seeing the same job ID for both the processes. So together the whole process is called a single job. So now you can say that the job has been executed successfully. Okay, so now let us see how it works when we select this spawn option. Okay, I selected the spawn, and now if you see, okay, so if you open this BusinessWorks here, now here the job ID is BW0A100, and if you come here, the job ID is BW0A101. Now you cannot call this as a single job. It is executed, the subprocess was executed as a separate job. Okay, so what does it mean? A spawn in Callprocess means subprocess will be executed as a individual thread or individual job. So you have seen that clearly, right? That is about the spawn. So why do we use the spawn? Let us assume that this your call process, your main process is there. There are few other activities to be executed after your call process. Let us say you have something like you have some database query. You have to query something, and then you have to send a message to someone. JMSSendMessa. So all this process is there. Okay. Let us say that your subprocess, your further process, your further activities in the main process are not dependent on your subprocess output. Okay, in that case, why do wait for this subprocess? Let us say this subprocess is taking lot of time. Okay, add activity. I'll add something like I'll add a sleep activity. So what I'll do, so this is just an assumption. Just assume that this subprocess is taking a lot of time. Let us say I'll make it wait for 30 seconds. Okay, so now in this case, what happens? This will take time, right? If we don't have spawn, what happens? To execute this JDBC query or send JMS message, you have to wait until this call process execution was completed, right? When you are using the spawn, you don't need to wait until this process was executed. Okay, so let us see. Okay, as of now, this is having issue since we are not covered the database part. Let me do one thing. Let me just add an exit activity. Sorry, add some log activity. I'll add some log, and here again I'll add something like exit activity. Okay, so to have this log file being executed, if I don't have the spawn option, I have to wait until this call process execution was successful. Until then, I have to keep waiting here. The input tab of call log process, I'll write something like call process. Okay, this should be fine. Let's see what happens. What happened here? What is the error? As I said here, as I already told you, you should always look for the properties if you add any additional activity in the process. So as of now, I have added JDBC and the JMS activities, right? So there will be that properties. Okay, let's come here and delete them because we don't need them as of now. Okay, now done. We don't have any problem here. So let's see debug configuration, and I'll run these two. That is fine. Okay, you see it's waiting here, right? Until this process was completed, it will wait for 30 seconds, and then only this call process execution was completed, and then only you will come to this log and this process will be completed. So in your actual projects, right, in your actual projects, you will not have that much time to wait. The response should be within seconds, right? So what happens, you can go for the spawn option. Now you see that, right, until this sleep time was completed and this sub process was completed, this call process was waiting here itself. We are not able to finish this. Let's see how it works when we select the spawn option here. Okay. Okay, now you see this process is still waiting, right? The sleep is still waiting, but our log and exit, this main process was completed. So now you understand, right? So this sub process, when you don't have any dependency on the output or response of the sub process, we can go for the spawn. Okay, what happens when you select a spawn option? The job will be executed separately. Okay, it will execute as a separate job. You can clearly see the job ID difference also. Here it's 100 and it's 101. Okay, so the response time of the end-to-end processing will be good. You don't need to wait for something which you are not dependent on. So in this kind of scenarios, you can go for the spawn option. Okay, hope this is clear. Now let's see, there's one more thing called, inside the call process, there's one more thing called process name dynamic override. Let me delete this one as of now. I have something called process name dynamic override, right? So let us say what happens is process name dynamic override is, uh, when do we use the process name dynamic override? So you have a requirement where you have to execute a specific process based on a condition. Okay, so let us assume that I have a main process and I have three other processes. Okay, let's assume that the activity is addition mathematical functions. Okay, mathematical. What happens? The main process will have the call process. Okay, and there are three sub processes. One is add, two is multiplication, three is division. So we have something like operation. Let us assume we have something like operation. If operation is add, I want to execute add process. So you might be aware of the else if and if else conditions, right? Else if operation is multiplication, execute multiplication process. Else if is division, execute the division process. Else I'll have one dummy process with no operation, dummy process. Okay, this is the activity what I want to do now. So for this kind of situations, here you will be able to give the condition. Based on the conditions, based on the condition, whether it's successful or failure, whether the condition is satisfied or not, I want that specific process to be executed. Okay, let's see how we can implement that in the process design studio. For that, to pass the input or the operation name, I want to have one mapper activity. Okay, in this mapper activity, I'll add a schema. So do we have any schema already? What is the input? Okay, so name and city. No, let's not use the schema. Let us try to create a new schema. Okay, I'll name it as Callprocess, and inside this input elements type, I'll add the parameters. I'll say number one, and this will be number two, and operation. Okay, so I'll be sending number one and number two and operation. Based on the operation name, whatever we are sending, number one, let's say I'll send as 3, and number two I'll send as 4, and the operation I'll send as add. Okay, so if this is the input, right? If this is the input, I should have the subprocess also, right? So let's try to create the subprocess first. Create new and subprocess. So in this, I'll add the name as add. Here, let me try to add the same schema. Callprocess access the input editor. Okay. So here the input this processor expects will be the same thing, number one, number two, and operation. Similarly, I'll add a mapper activity where this is the place where I'll be doing the operation. Create a new schema called math, and here I'll add one element which will be output or result. I'll say it as result. Okay, finish it. Okay, result, and I finish it. So here what happens, the input tab, I'll be taking the result or the sum, right? I want to do the addition here, number one plus number two, because the operation here is addition. So what is it saying? It says invalid conversion from string to double, right? Because the data type whatever we have selected for the result is string, but the output whatever we will have for the addition of two numbers will be some integer or a double, right? For that reason it is showing an error like this. So you can see show and check repair invalid conversion from string to boolean, it says. Okay, the conversion sometimes if you see fixed typecasting errors it will automatically fix, but now it's not fixing. So what you can do, xsd string string. Similarly here also xsd string. Now you see the error was gone, but there still there is a warning unneeded constructor function is there. So let's to avoid the confusion, let's go back and create a change the data type of this as integer. Okay, now we should not have any issue. Okay, number one plus number two. Let me change this as well. Okay, now you see there is no errors. Now you see there is no error or no warnings. Okay. So generally in your projects or whenever you actually working on real-time projects, you should take care of the schemas. Okay, just for explaining you fast, I've taken it as string, but take the proper data types of any element. So you see, the moment I have taken the change the data type to integer, there is no error, or we don't need to fix it also. Okay, so now this is fine. Uh, I don't want to send any output to the main process. So let me just make a copy of this and I'll paste it. I'll make it as multiplication process. Okay. So in the multiplication process, what I need to do, I'll just change the addition into multiplication. That's it. Okay. So I'll add another process called a division process, where I'll change the name, change the operation here from addition to division. Okay, so here what happens, the reason it says there can be a chance the divisions output can be uh, decimals, right? So that's the reason why it showed an error, so you can auto fix it, not an issue. So now you concentrate mostly on understanding how this call process or process name dynamic override works. Okay, so these functions you can give a try later. Okay, as of now this is fine. So I'll be adding another process which will be dummy. Okay, which does not require to do any kind of operation here. I'll be deleting it. Okay, so now coming to the main call process, right? Coming to the main process here, I don't want to call this B process. I'll call this dummy process. Okay, here I'll give a condition. What is the condition we have written in the notepad? If the operation from the mapper equal to add, then which process I want to execute? I want to execute general dot add. Okay, else if, again same thing, I'll make a copy. Else if multiplication, and what is the operation in that case? I'll access multiplication, and again else if division, I want to call which process? Division process. Else I want to call which process? Dummy process, right? General dot dummy. So this is my condition. So this is what I want to execute. So when the operation name we are sending is add, I want to execute only the add process. Let's try to do it now. So let us say activity configuration has input. Okay, we have not done the mappings here, right? So we have to do the mappings. So number 1 is required and number 2 is required. Operation is not required for this, but let's map it. Not a, that doesn't matter inside the sub process. Okay, now there is no errors. Let's try to run the process. debug configuration, and instead of B process, what is the process I want to execute? You see, dummy process was selected automatically, but these three add, multiplication, division was not selected automatically. Let's try to see what will happen, because the operation name whatever we given is add. So what is it saying? It says that add was not found. What could be the reason? The reason is when you are executing or when you are debugging, when you click on debug configuration, you should select the other process as well, add, division, and multiplication process as well. Now you click on debug. Now you see which process was executed. Only the add process was executed, not the other process were executed. Okay, so you don't need to bother about the sum or something, the result or something. You try to understand the concept of this process name binding over. This is important. Okay, so now let me stop it and see. I'll change the operation name to division. Okay, so let me run it now again. Now you see division process was executed. That is based on the condition whatever we are given and what is the operation that we are sending, right? So we have seen that add and division were executed. Let me just stop it and see if I send any other type of not the add, multiplication or division. Okay, I'll add some dummy name. Okay, I'll add some John. Okay, this is not part of our condition, right? So now, as per the condition whatever we have given, right, as per the condition whatever we have given, if not add, subtraction or multiplication, I want to execute this dummy process. Okay, let's see whether that is working or not. You see which process was executed? Dummy process was executed, right? So this is how we'll use the call process, spawn, and process name dynamic override. Very important concept when you want to prepare, when you want to work on it. Okay, one of the most common entry questions as well. What is a call process and what is a spawn function in call process? How do you call a process dynamically based on a condition? You can say by using the process name dynamic override option in the call process activity. You can give the specific condition. Based on the condition, it will call the process. Okay, so now we are done with the call process as well. So what else is there in the general activities? Let's see, and then we can proceed further. Okay, so remaining assign we'll see. So these are something like are called variables. Okay, so we'll see that. Now, since we are done with the call process, in TIBCO there is something called in TIBCO BW there is something called process synchronization. process synchronization. Okay, for that we have few activities called notify, wait, receive notification. So these are the activities. So these are the activities, and along with this, we should have one shared resource called notify configuration. Okay, notify configuration. Let's see how to use it. Okay, so as I said, they will be useful for process synchronization. Let us say you are dealing with multiple processes, and you want one process to be in sync with another process, or you want one process to be executed only after this particular process has been executed. For that kind of scenarios, you go for the notify, wait, and receive notification. These are the activities for the process synchronization. Let's go and see how we can achieve this. Okay, so let me add a new folder inside general. Folder name is 5. Okay, so add a new process. Process can be fine. Let's say it as notify. Add a new process. Add a timer activity first. Then I'll be adding the notify activity. General activities notify is there. So in the notify activity, if you see, there is nothing here, right? There is no input, so you don't need to pass any input basically. So you have the shared configuration, right? You have a shared configuration. So here what happens is you should have the notify configuration. As it said here, notify configuration is a shared resource that you need to use. So that will be acting as the connector between the notify and wait or receive notification activities. So that is the main thing which is syncing the processes. Okay, as of now we don't have any notify configuration resource. I'll be creating a new resource. Okay, now your notify configuration resource was created. If you go to the notify configuration resource, you don't need to do anything here. Okay, so you basically don't need to do anything in the notify configuration resource. So you just need to pass this. But to receive this notification from the notify activity, so how it works is, so notify activity will send a notification to wait or receive notification activities. Same way, wait activity will wait for the notification. And receive notification will receive the notification. So basically, wait and receive, the function is same, but what happens is this process receive notification is a process starter, whereas wait activity is not a process starter. Process starter we have discussed, right? What are the process starters we have? Timer activity, on startup, that is the activator, and then we have file caller, and then we have this one receive notification. We have HTTP receiver, JMS receiver, lot few more are there. So this is one of the process starter. Whereas this wait activity is a non-process starter. Okay, let's go and see how we can achieve this. So if you can go to your studio, notify process was done. Okay, so there is no error here. So now I want another process which will have the wait activity. So by keeping this wait activity, what you should do is general activities and wait. yeah, wait for notification. Sorry, it's not. It's wait for notification. You see, there is a pause option. Pause icon is there, so it means that it will pause the process until a notification has been arrived on this, or a notification was received by this wait activity. So till that point of time, this process will be in pause. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll add activity. I'll add a timer. Okay. So here there's nothing. You just need to give the notify configuration. That's it. It will just wait and till the notification was not received here. This process will keep it on hold, on pause. That's it. So you don't have any input to pass for the wait activity. There's nothing here. You just need to select this notify configuration shared resource. That's it. Okay, now let me try to run this process. So I'll deselect all, and what I'll select is wait and notify. Debug. Okay, let me just answer this to show you clearly. I think I need to add some sleep activity, otherwise you will not be able to see it clearly. Okay, notify. What I'll do, I'll add one central activity and sleep. I'll make this process wait for or sleep for 10-15 seconds. So it should sleep for 15 seconds. So now what happens? My both these process will be executed, and this wait process, this will be waiting at this rate until my sleep was executed and it has sent the notification. Let's see that. So yeah, these are the two processes. That's fine. Okay. Now if you see the sleep was executed, if you see this, the wait process was also executed at the same time, and it was waiting. Right? It was waiting. Right? It's waiting at the sleep also. The moment the sleep was done, this notify configuration has sent a notification. This wait was also done. Right? Hope you observed that. Let me just stop it and rerun this for you. Debug configurations. Now you see, so starting notify was also done, but the receive process was not executed because the key in both the processes are not same. Notify was sending a key called 123 with 123, whereas the notify receive notification is waiting for the key 1234. Let us try to change it now. Let us try to change this or this key also as 1234. Now if you see, it is waiting here. Once the notify was done, you should be able to see that receive notification, receive process was also executed. Right? This is about the inter-process communication. This is called the inter-process communication or process synchronization. Most common questions that will be asked on this is, how do you achieve the process synchronization? You can say by using the wait and notify or receive notification activities in Studio. You can achieve the process synchronization. Okay. Now this was also done. Let's see what we can cover now. Basically, I'll do the groups. Few groups we can see now. I'll create a new process. So this process will be the name of this process should be repeat. I want to rename it repeat. Okay. So what are meant by groups? Okay. So there is something called create group here, right? Either you can add the groups from here, create group. Otherwise, you have the groups under add activity, basic activities, and these are the groups. The same groups are present there also. Here we have something called create groups. So these are the different groups that are available. We'll see few groups. Okay. So repeat is there. First thing, let's see what exactly is a group. Okay, let's see the help and reference page, then you can understand it properly. So, for going to specifically on the repeat group, that's fine. So the repeat group activity is responsible, you see this, for repeating the series of grouped activities until specified condition is true. Okay, it will repeat series of grouped activities until the specified condition is true. That's it. That is about the repeat activity. So now let us say I want to repeat some activity. Okay, do we have the files, right? We have files. What do we do here? File, create file, and write file are there. Let us do one thing. I'll use this write file, Control C, and I'll use this write file inside the group. So what I want to do is I want to repeat this group for 5 times, and I want to write something in this file. Okay, for that first thing I want to add, I need to add the general activities and a timer activity, right? So let me add it. Now what is the condition here? Index. So if you see any group, you will see that something called index name condition. So index name, you can keep anything as per your choice. I'll say it as G. And condition, what is that I want to do? I want to repeat the group for 5 times, right? Equal to 5, right? So now they should repeat it till the condition level needs to be true. If you see it here, it will repeat the series of grouped activities. Okay, this is the main important part until the specified condition evolutes to true. Okay, so let's see how the index works. So to show you how the index works, what I'll do, I'll add one log activity, and what I'll do is in the input I'll map the index. That's it. I'll not do anything else in the log activity. So in the write file, what I want to write is, instead of this four fundamentals from MindMajix, I'll write something like repetition. I'll use some concat function to show you that this file was repeated these many times, and the current index. Okay, it should be fine. Add activity, basic, and exit. So we don't need this exit activity, but the reason why I'm adding everywhere is just to show you or just to make you aware that this process execution was completed. If I don't have this exit activity here, this process will be executed fine, but you don't know that this process ended completely. That's the reason why I have added the exit activity, but there is no use of this for our purpose. Okay, so now as we have seen that we want to execute this group for 5 times, let me just add a breakpoint here. Breakpoint after run debug configuration. And what is the process I want to execute? I don't want these two. I want to start this repeat process. Debug. See, this was executed for first time. So the index. So what is that I have mapped here in the log? I have mapped the index. So what is the index value for the first repetition? Is 1. Okay. If I execute, if I run this second time, one time some record was written into the file, second time the value of the index is 2, right? So let's see that. Okay, first thing, what is that I have given? G as index, right? G is my index. So what is the condition I have given? G equal to 5. Until this condition is true, this group will be repeated. During the first repetition, what is the value of 1? Value of G, it's 1. 1 equal to 5, condition is false. So the group will be repeated. Similarly, second repetition, 2 equal to 5, condition is false. Again, the group will be repeated. Similarly, 3 equal to 5, false. 4 equal to 5, false. 5 equal to 5, true, right? True. Now the group will stop. Let's try to see that now. So now in this case it's 2. Second repetition. So this is the third repetition. This is the fourth repetition and fifth repetition. Now in this case 5. Right? Our condition whatever we have given is satisfied and it's true. Now you see the moment the condition is true, it will come out of the group. Right? If you want to see that what was written into the file, let's see the D fundamentals and let's see D fundamentals, and this is a file. Okay, we don't have that append option given in the right file. That's the reason why we are not able to see all the records. Okay, if you see it here, log 1 2 3 4 5. So this is what we have logged here, right? So you can see the group was repeated for 5 times again here also. So to see the message or the data clearly inside the right file, we should use this append option as we have already discussed in the right file activity. Let me try to run it again. I'll remove this breakpoint also because we have already seen how the index works. I don't need to do it here. I don't need it here again. So let me stop. We have stopped it again. Let me start it. See it. If I don't keep the breakpoint here, you will actually not able to see it clearly. It will be very fast. The processing will be very fast. See, 5 times it was executed and it's done. 5 times. So if you go back to the file again and see the file, now you see this is what was written. This is the old data during the old repetition, but this is the data which is written just now. 1 2 3 4 5. Clear? So this is how we use the repeat group. So the name of this group is repeat, and in BW5 the same group is called repeat until true. Okay, let me make a copy of this and I'll use it for another group also. BW, I'll make it as while. Okay, so both these repeat and while looks the same, but there is very simple difference. Okay, I'll change it to while. So here I'll keep the index name as that is fine, and here dollar dollar g less than or equal to 5. So here also I want to repeat the group for 5 times. But what is this different from the repeat group? So what happens is, if you go to while, it will repeat the group only when the specified condition is true. Whereas the repeat group, until the specified condition evaluates to be true. Right? So if you see it here, let us say here the first 4 repetitions the condition is false, but it is waiting for the condition until it is becoming true. So that is called repeat until true. Whereas when you come to while, so what happens is, if you do this here, control C, control V. Okay, so G, the value of G equal to 5. I mean, I give this condition, I give this condition, G less than or equal to 5. Okay, so if I give the same condition, let's see what happens. So let us say I give the same condition equal to 5 here also, and in case of the input, then instead of repeat I'll give while. Okay, I'll run this now. Let's see what happens. Yes, I'll execute the while. So what happened, you see, this group was not executed because the condition was not satisfied. What is the condition? Now in this case, what is the condition? The condition is this one. So here what happens? This is false. In case of repeat group, what happened? It is waiting until the condition is true. Even though the first few repetitions are false, the group is repeating until the condition is true. But for while, it has to wait, it will wait, it will see, or it will execute only when the condition is true from the first instance. Okay, so what happens for in this case? So that's the reason why I have given less than or equal to 5. So now if you see, 1 less than or equal to 5, 1 is less than 5, right? So the condition is true. Similarly, 2 less than, and 3 less than, and 4 less than or equal to 5, this is also 5, and 5 also less than or equal to 5, this is also true, right? And the next repetition also it will check 6 less than or equal to 5, this is false. Immediately the group will end. Let's see that. Okay, I'll stop it here and I'll make the change in the condition. Instead of equal to, I'll make it as less than or equal to. I'll save it. Run debug configurations while. Yeah. Now you see, there is a breakpoint added. First repetition, number 1, it was done. I'm executing. Second repetition, third one, fourth time, fifth time, and it came out of the group. Right? So this is how the while group works. So there is only a very little difference that you have to understand, and that difference is also, it's simple English, you can say that. Okay, repeat until true. Repeat, this group will be repeated until the condition is true. Whereas while is, this will repeat the group while the condition is true. From here to here, the condition is true. Till that point, the group will be repeated that many times. Okay. So if you see the file again now, while was written into the file for 5 times because 5 times is what we are given to repeat the file. Okay, this is about the groups. We have few other groups also. Most commonly used groups are the repeat, while, and iterate group. Let's see the iterate also. Okay, let's go to the reference online and see this iterate. What exactly is the iterate? You see this? Iterate group repeats the series of grouped activities. This is fine. Once for every item in an existing sequence or list. The list can be items of any database. The loop executes for the number of iterations specified. So you have some. This is something different. Okay, different. Okay. So let's create a new process and leave it as iterate. Okay. So in the iterate, let us say what I'll do is let me just make some. Okay, we have these many files are available. Okay, let us say I have 6 files. Okay, because as of now we haven't covered any database or something, so I cannot use any database here. You see this example, right? So here it says that this example must be like it is trying to fetch some data from the database, and based on number of records that were available in the database, this group will be repeated. Okay, for now we cannot do that since we have not covered the database part. Let me just do a simple thing like I'll add an activity called list file. So we have not covered list file. I'd ask you to try. So now here we are covering the list file as well. So what is a list file? So list file is an activity which will list all the files that were present in the specified directory. Okay, so this is a directory. Start. Okay, in this directory, whatever the number of files that were present, that many times I want the group to be repeated. Group active, sorry, activities and iterate. Inside this iterate, I want to add an activity called log. Okay, so let me add an exit activity also, and I'll add a timer activity as well. So timer is again done once. This is fine. Okay, so in the iterate, you see when you compare it with this group with a while or repeat, you see this difference, right? Index name is there, that is fine. I'll name the index as D, and there is something called variable list. Whereas when you come to this while or repeat group, you don't have the variable list. So here, variable list is something on what basis you want to repeat the group. Right? So how can I do that? This list file will give that many number of file info. Okay, so now, so if I have 10 file infos, that means there are 10 files. So that then I want this group to be repeated for 10 times. So now in our case I have created 6 files here, so there are 6 items in total. So I want this group to be repeated for 6 times. Okay, so let's see. Let's save it. So now there is no group error. And again, not just the variable list, there is something called iteration element as well. Okay, current element. So let us say what is the current element. So see that again, let me just go back to the same right file, and what I'll do is iterate. I'll give the same write file here also, because I just want to make it clear for you. That's the reason why I'm adding here write file. I don't need a log file here. That's fine. Write file. So what I want here is, I just want to give the, you see, current element. So let's say the iteration element, it says the current element, right? Let me change it to current file name. Okay. So current file name is the iteration element. I'll run it and then I'll explain you what exactly the iteration element means. Okay. So from the current file name, I want to take the file name. That's it. Okay. So hope append was already there. Yeah, this is fine. Let me just add a breakpoint here. Set breakpoint after save and run debug configurations. Iterate debug. Now if you see, the output of list files is, see how many file infos are there? There are a total of 6 file infos are there. So that means there are 6 files there. So in our folder also we know that we already have the 6 files. Right? Coming back to our stool process. So it has updated what is the file name, the first file name, fund1 copy file 2, copy2.txt. Okay. So it will be repeated for that many times. Second time, third time, 4, 5 and 6, done. 6 files were repeated, 6 times this group was repeated. And if I can go back the files and see the, sorry, what is the fundamentals, right? What is the file? This is the file, I guess. Yeah, if you see that, right, these are the file names that I have written into that file. We ignore about what is getting written into the file, but just I'm trying to understand the concept of how this group is repeating. Iterate is there. So now what I want to explain you is what is an iteration element that we have written into that file. So iteration element is nothing but, if you see it here, iteration element is current file name is what we have given for the iteration element. So iteration element is nothing but, let us say a file was repeating, a group was repeating for 20 times. So what is the data that was present at that particular repetition? Okay, so let us say the file was repeating here, this is the 6th repetition. Okay, so let's say, so during the first repetition, what is the file name, what is the iteration element? Fund1 copy2.txt. Fund1 copy2.txt is the first iteration, first data, first file name. Similarly, second time, fund1 copy3.txt. If I come here, fund1 copy3.txt, this is the second repetition element, second iteration element. Third time, copy4.txt, right? Fourth time, copy5.txt. Similarly, that is the iteration element. Iteration element is nothing but the data or the data of the current repetition. The iteration element will hold the data of the current repetition. Okay, is it clear? So this is how we use the iteration group, iterate group. So basically, how what are the cases you will use iterate group is, let us say you have a requirement where you have to fetch lot of records from the database and you don't know how many records are there, but you want to repeat a group for all the records that you are fetching from the database. Okay, let us assume this as a database. Let us say that you don't know what is the count of records present in the database. So what you will do, you will use the JDBC query activity here, and then you will, instead of this variable list, whatever we have given from the file info, right? So you will use it from, you will give the variable list as the records from the JDBC query. Okay, so in that case, what happens is whatever the number of records that were present inside the database table, that many times this group will be repeated. You can do whatever your operation you want inside the group, whatever the thing you want to achieve, you can implement that inside the group. Okay, so basically, when you don't know what is the number of records or number of times you want to repeat the group, and uh, in case you are dealing with a database which is having use millions of records, it's better to go for the iterate group. Okay, hope this is clear. Yeah, thanks. Okay, there's one more group called null group. Okay, so there's one group, let's say create group, and there is see scope. So scope is nothing but there is no action for this group actually. So if you see, group type is scope. For every group you see the index, condition, accumulate, output and all, right? But when it comes to scope, there is nothing here. So this will be kind of it will just show some activities inside a group, but there will be no action for that group. Okay, uh, not very highly used, rarely used, but it's good to know. That's it. Okay, scope, no action will be done by this group. Okay, and there's nothing to show here also. Okay, there are other groups, maybe you can give a try. They are called for each local transaction group is there. So this group is something which will be used along with when we are dealing with the JDBC and JMS activities. Okay, if you see it, transactional transaction transports. Okay, now here it says none, but when you click on this drop down, it says JDBC or JMS. Okay, you will use this transaction group only when you are dealing with the JMS or JDBC activities. As of now, we have not covered the JDBC or JMS, so I'll not be touching this transaction group as well. Okay. And if you come to the other groups, there is critical section group as well. This is also useful for the synchronizing processes. Okay, when there are processes, okay, when there are multiple processes which are using the same, which you, when you want to sync the process, that means you don't want multiple processes or multiple activities to be executed at the same point of time. Then you go for the critical section group. There is something called lock object. So using that lock object, when one session, okay, so what, so to help you to explain you clearly, let us say uh, you are watching some content on Netflix and you have shared uh, the credentials to some of your friends, and they are also watching the same content on your name. That is like two events happening, two same events happening at the same time. That will not, that's not allowed, right? So in that case, what happens is you that, so just understand the concept. Okay, that not relate, don't relate that Netflix thing to critical section. Okay, in this kind of scenarios you can go for the critical section group. What happens is it will not allow multiple users or the multiple processes to execute at the same time when they are using the same lock object. Okay, if you click on this critical section, there is something called share lock, right? When there is a lock, whichever the groups that are using the same lock object, it will not allow them to execute at the same point of time. Okay, so that is about the critical section.